my friends, hope you're well this Friday evening. Soon comes round, doesn't it? So we're starting up the virtual ghost bus again tonight, and this time we're going round Chester. So if you enjoy yourself tonight, you enjoy the show, please leave us a virtual tip. It's the only thing that's keeping us ticking over. It's keeping petrol in the virtual ghost bus. It's keeping food in our tummies. We really do appreciate all your help in the past. Obviously October is my busiest month usually, and it's not going to happen this year. So if you enjoy it, please give generously. And also, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, whether you're watching it live on Facebook tonight or you watch it later on YouTube, please sign, subscribe and share and all that malarkey. So let's go over to Flecky and Buggerlugs. Ooh!
It's Flecky, it's Friday, it's Flecky Bennett Friday, it's Flecky, it's Friday, it's Flecky's Fright Night.
Hello my friends, how are you all tonight? Hope you're all well this Friday evening. Welcome to Flecky Bennett's Friday Fright Night, and the virtual ghost bus is back, yes! So, Buggerlugs, over to you!
It's Flecky, it's...
Come on everyone, get on.
That's right, get in the back everybody, get in the back. How are you all, alright? Let's take these off, I can't see nothing. Nice to see you all again, hope you've got a nice little drink. I've ordered the old red wine again, alright. Cheers everybody. That's right, get on board everybody, get on board. Onto the Chester virtual ghost bus. So my friends, how many of you out there have been to Chester? Quite a few of you, I bet. It doesn't seem to be as popular as York, but maybe after this you'll all want to go to Chester. Me and Buggerlugs go there every year for a few nights, and we actually got a chance to go this year just before lockdown. I think about February time we went. But it's a really great place, and for you people that love ghost stories and ghosts, it's regarded as the second most haunted city in England. And they're saying Chester that the only reason that York is the number one haunted city in England is because it's bigger. So if Chester was bigger, they reckon they would be the most haunted city in England. And there's so many ghost stories, which I'm going to tell you tonight. It's unbelievable. So shall we begin? Yes, so tonight's all about Chester. We're leaving Manchester, we're going to leave the man behind, and we're in Chester. And Chester is one of the only cities in the world that still has a town crier. Oh yes, you know, oh yay, oh yay. So if you look outside your window, here he is now. Ooh.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh yay! I bid you all warmly welcome to the ancient and beautiful city of Chester. Chester has just been declared the best place in the world for whale watching. If you would like to see whales while you're in Chester,
Time to set off. Hold tight, everyone.
So, my friends, that's the town crier. I love that bit about Wales and stuff, being able to see Wales. And if there's anybody from Wales tonight, any Welsh people on the bus, I'm not sure there is, but if there is any Welsh people, there is a tradition in Chester that all Welsh people have to leave the inner city of Chester by sunset. So, if you're on the bus, you shouldn't really be on. I don't know what's going to happen to you. So, Buggerlugs is now going to take us to our first location. Over to Buggerlugs, let's set off. Hello everybody, so we've arrived at our first location, and I tell you something, this is the most ridiculous haunted location I've ever heard of. It's the sweetest location I've ever heard of. This place is regarded as the most haunted place in Chester. So let's have a look outside the window. And as you look outside your window, you're looking at ye olde Thornton's chocolate shop. Oh, we all like a bit of chocolate, don't we everybody, yes? Well, they've got a haunted chocolate shop there in Chester. Look at it now, it's wonderful, isn't it? And it's haunted by the ghost of a young woman who wears a yellow dress. Ooh, her name is Sarah the ghost. Let me tell you what happened. That building many years ago in the 1800s was Sarah's parents' house, and she lived there with her parents, and she was beautiful apparently. Long brown hair tied loosely in a bun, big brown eyes, and she was dressed to the nines in a yellow wedding dress because it was a wedding day. And she went off to the local church, and its usual story of heartache. She was stood up at the altar. She was so distraught that she went back to the house where her parents were. She said, I'm going upstairs, I can't face this. She went up to her bedroom. She was embarrassed, upset, so she threw a rope around the beam and she hung herself in her bedroom, swinging backwards and forwards. Look at them graphics, they're bloody amazing, aren't they, Buggerlugs?
Certainly are.
Oh, I tell you, 2 weeks' work that is. Swinging backwards and forwards was poor Sarah. Oh, yes. So ever since that day, she's been haunting that building. And then Thornton's moved in, the chocolatiers. We all like a bit of Thornton's, don't we? And she's been haunting the shop. Now, she hates, and I say she hates men. Even to this day, she cannot stand men. And most of her, the way she manifests herself is in front of men. Sounds a bit kinky. She often pushes men in the back when they're in the shop. And she's been known to push men completely out of the shop when they're in there with their girlfriends and wives shopping for chocolate. A few years ago, apparently their electric meter is down in the cellar, and a guy from Scottish Power, whatever, went down there to check the meter, come running up screaming. He said, there's a woman in the corner watching me in a yellow dress. So she appeared in front of an electrician not too long ago. One of the best stories is that it was being burgled one night by a male burglar, and he was in there, and he had all his tools with him because he wanted to break into all the safe and everything, and she appeared in front of him. And he was that scared he ran out of the shop, leaving his tools behind, leaving fingerprints all over everywhere. The police caught up with him, and he told them, well, a ghost appeared in front of me, that's why I ran out of there. So that's what happened not too long ago. The manageress said that she was possessed by the spirit of Sarah on one occasion. The rest of the staff were downstairs, and they said the manageress started walking from the staircase. She was walking slowly down the stairs, and she was like singing a song, like a medieval song which nobody recognised, holding up like an imaginary skirt, like a long skirt. And she believes she was possessed by Sarah, the ghost. But the worst time of the year, the worst time, and the part of the year that puts fear into all our hearts, Valentine. Ooh, you don't like Valentine, do you, Buggerlugs?
Certainly do.
She doesn't. She's getting out this year if this carries on, I'll tell you that.
He's getting out.
I'm getting everything. At Valentine, when they do the wonderful... I mean, if you've been in Thornton's at Valentine, it's beautiful, isn't it? They put great decorations everywhere and all them wonderful heart-shaped boxes of chocolates. But when they come in the next day, Sarah has thrown them all over the floor. Apparently she doesn't touch anything that's not Valentine related, but all the Valentine stuff is thrown everywhere. There's chocolates everywhere. That's what I reckon Sarah looked like. Long brown hair and a loose bun on the back of her head. That's what a medium said that she looked like in front of her when she did her seance not too long ago. So she's obviously still heartbroken from beyond the grave, is poor Sarah. Now there's an area in Chester, just a few streets behind where we are now. It's a little lane actually, and it's called, let's have a look at it. It's beautiful. It's called Godstall Lane. And it's called Godstall because that little lane leads to the cathedral. And many years ago there used to be market stalls selling religious artefacts and Bibles and things. But it's been remarketed over the years as the romantic heart of Chester. And look at that, what I made them graphics. It looks beautiful. It's full of little restaurants, bridal shops, jewellery shops to buy your rings. Don't get any ideas, Buggerlugs.
Already have.
Oh, hey. So yes, imagine that's one place that Sarah wouldn't want to go to because she's heartbroken from beyond the grave. Let's go have a look at Thornton's for your window again, everybody. Have a look at it now. Look at it. Wonderful chocolate. I like a bit of chocolate. Do you? Yes. Well, here's one of the Flecky facts. Over to you, Buggerlugs.
Flecky fact.
Here's an amazing fact for you, and I found out about chocolate. Is that the microwave oven was invented by a bar of chocolate. Sounds weird, doesn't it? But it's true. In the Second World War, this scientist, and we're having a look at him now, he was working on some kind of device for picking up satellites or something like that. Anyway, he was in his laboratory. He loved a bar of chocolate every day, and his wife put one in his jacket pocket. And every day he'd have it at his break time. Well, he'd been working with this machine for the first time, put it on for about a minute, and then he reached his pocket, and the chocolate bar had completely melted in his pocket. So he realised that maybe there's some potential here, and that's how the microwave oven was invented, by that bar of chocolate melting in that scientist's pocket. Who could make it up? Oh yes, my friends. How are we all doing? Let's have a quick drink if you're having a little scoop at home. Oh, we're going to some haunted pubs, don't worry. So yeah, that's Thornton's and Godstall Lane, right, my friends? So it's time for Buggerlugs to set off again. Here we go, on tight now. So we're now at the East Gate. Now this was the original main entrance into Chester in Roman times. And on top of that bridge, which is the gate, is a very famous clock. Let's have a look at it, everybody. It's right in front of you now. That's called the East Gate clock. It was built in 1899. And amazingly, it's the second most photographed clock after Big Ben in this country. Anybody that goes to Chester has to walk along that bridge and walk under that bridge. And a few years ago, it used to attract some vandals, really, because people that came to Chester decided like a little keepsake from that clock, and a few of them have actually nicked the fingers off the clock. Hands! No, it's something to do with your arms. The hands of the clock.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes.
They actually nicked the hands off the clock. And for years it didn't have any kind of glazing, so now they put glass over it to stop the vandals. But it's sort of the trademark of Chester now, I suppose. And it's got a really good story. Here we go. So, like, me and Buggerlugs, we often go to Chester once a year at least. Often, every year, if you know what I mean, by often. Always a couple of nights, we have a great time. I'm sure all you lot out there go to Chester now and again. Two tourists called Richard and Susie used to go once a year like we do, and they loved it with a passion going to Chester like we do. And they've been walking around all day. You know, when you go for a day out to these places like York and Chester and Edinburgh and London, you don't have to do some steps on your step counter, don't you? 15, 20,000, 30,000 steps in a bloody day, from zero to hero. And so he's there, Susie and Richard was stood there where we are now in the bus, looking up at the clock. And he said, Susie, we've not been up on the bridge. She goes, I'm bloody knackered. I'm not going up there tonight. Listen, we'll go up tomorrow. He said, well, I'll just have a quick walk up there. So he walked up to the clock. And when he walked up to the clock, he was stood there on his own. But these three women appeared. Firstly, just one woman, dressed in sort of rags. And he sort of nodded to her and said, hello. And she said, my name's Sue. He thought, nice to meet you. Then another one sidled up to her in rags and said, my name's Sue. Then a third one said, my name's Helen. He said hello, and he thought there were some kind of actors or recreating some history, some tour guides or something like that. And this is in 1997, by the way, everybody, 1997. And then all three of them said, as he was just about to leave, these words. The princess is dead. The princess is dead. They said it in unison. The princess is dead. So as you can imagine, this shook him up. He came running down to his other half, Susie. She said, who the hell were you talking to up there? There was nobody up there with you. He said, I've just been talking to three women. Did you not see them? She says, no, you were talking to nobody. Like you were talking to yourself. He said, I'm telling you now, Susie, the weirdest thing happened to me. He said, these three women were there. That's who I was talking to. Sue and Helen. And then he said, the princess is dead. She thought, that's a bit odd anyway. They were both knackered, went back to the travel lodge. And they were having an early night of it, you know. Especially these days, we've got to be in by 10. They're having an early night of it. And they were sat there watching a bit of telly. I think they had tellies in 1997 in the travel lodge, didn't they? Who knows? But anyway, they didn't have iPads and stuff. So we were there, and then about midnight, as we were watching the news, it came up on the news, and it said the Princess Diana has been involved in a car accident, and she's been taken to hospital in Paris. They don't believe she's badly injured, possibly a broken arm and a broken leg. And he turned to Susie and went, the princess is dead. He said, well, I hope to God they aren't right. And they watched the news all night until this came on.
This is BBC Television from London. A short while ago, Buckingham Palace confirmed the death of Diana, Princess of Wales. The princess died following a car accident in Paris. She was 36. A statement issued by the palace says the Queen and the Prince of Wales are deeply shocked and distressed by the terrible news. BBC Television will bring you more information as we receive it.
And the princess was indeed dead. Isn't it a chilling story, that? I thought that's one of the best stories I've ever heard. So, where we are now, on this little road, or is it a lane? It's a lane, isn't it, I think? Anyway, on this little lane that we're on now, either side of us are these wonderful shops on 3 levels. And it's called The Rose, R-O-W-S, The Rose. And there is nowhere else in the world like this. But funny enough, when these were built, the people from Chester hated them because they said they made because they're all shops now and bars and restaurants and stuff, but they used to be people's homes, just like Thornton's used to be the home of Sarah. And people used to complain when they were built, saying that they were really dark because of these walkways in front of your window. It made everything really dark. But they were built so that people could keep dry when they were shopping. So they were actually the first shopping arcades ever invented. So the people of Chester didn't really like them. They wanted them ripped down, and some of them were ripped down. But when the Victorians came in, they loved them and they protected them ever since. So the Rose are the only ones like it in the world. Now, on this virtual ghost bus, we can go anywhere, do anything. We're going to drive up the steps and go along the rows. Come on, Buggerloves, let's go. They're wonderful, aren't they, the Rose? I'm sure you all visited the Rose when you've been there. And if you haven't never been to Chester, I hope this is giving you a good insight tonight. Let's look outside our window. And as you look outside, look at that. You can see out your curtains tonight. You've got your little lamp on your table. It's like you're actually there, isn't it? Never mind virtual, you feel like you're there. And you're looking at a shop called Sally's Secret Garden. Lots of you people out there, you goths and you rockers, would love that shop. It's full of like Ouija boards and witch bottles and incense sticks and stuff like that. And it's called Sally's Secret Garden, excuse me, Windy Pops, because it has a garden at the back. God no, I've not been in that shop unfortunately, but I don't know how they do that. How they've got a garden at the back because it's high up in the air, but it must be like a courtyard that they've changed into a garden. It's now a little place we can get tea and coffee. And they do meditation classes and all sorts. But it's haunted. Let's put the dry ice machine on. Oh, hang on a minute. Here we go. Ooh. It's haunted, is Sally's Secret Garden. Not by a witch or anything like that. The upstairs room is the haunted room. And members of staff used to go up to the room and they always felt like they were suffocating. Like they couldn't get the breath, like they'd be becoming asthmatic. And like come back out and go, I can't breathe, it's weird, that room feels really strange. And then they started hearing at night time somebody breathing heavy and coughing in the room. Let's have a look what that might have looked like. Yes, coughing and spluttering and breathing heavy. And that man's on there because they did some research, did the owners of Sally's Secret Garden, and found out that that used to be a sea captain's house who had a chest infection, and that's what he died from in that room. So that mystery is sort of solved. So he's in that room, and his wife is also supposed to haunt Sally's Secret Garden. A customer was in there one day in the shop, and she went, "Excuse me," and the owner said, what are you talking to? She said that some old lady just pushed past me really rudely and gone straight upstairs. She said, listen, the upstairs isn't open to the public, so they both went up there looking for this old lady, nowhere to be seen. So they presume that's the sea captain's wife, the salty sea dog. So he died of chest infection, and he's still breathing heavy and coughing inside that room. So yes, shall we go to our first pub of the night? It's a bit further along on the rolls. Let's go, Buggerlugs, let's go. Ooh. So, my friends, we're outside the first public house of the night, and it's called Ye Old Boot Inn, and it goes back to the 1644. So it's quite an old one. It's older than any pub in Manchester. 1644. The old Boot Inn. Let's have a look outside your window at it, everybody.
My old boot in.
Yeah, she will put her boot in. She carries on. I'll put my bloody boot. Yes, as you can see there through your window, between your curtains and over the top of your lamp. Have a look at it. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? Your old Boot Inn. Cheers, everybody. It's a raise your glass moment. Raise your glasses because it's a pub. There we go, my friends. Nice to see you all. Come back to me. There you go. Hello. Raise your glasses. Your old Boot Inn. Now listen. It's definitely an old man's pub, if you know what I mean. Let's have a look inside. It looks beautiful. It's got all them old low beams, and as you can see, there's old men everywhere. It really is an old man's pub, and they love it because it's one of them pubs where you can't enjoy yourself anymore. I think it's one of them Samuel Smiths. Is that right? Samuel Smiths, where all the pubs you can't use credit card or debit card, so it's cash only. We've been in there. We had to bloody go off to a cash point to try to buy a drink. You can't have any music. You can't have anything like that. Take us back to that picture, Buggerlugs. Leave it on. You can't have any music. They won't allow you to sing, talk, anything like that. You can't use iPads, iPhones. You can't even check the time on your phone. I think I've covered everything. Oh, you can't swear either. Some of them things I'm not too bothered about, but you can't even look at your bloody phone. You know, if you look on TripAdvisor about it, people are going, I only went in to look at my photographs that I was looking at that taken during while I was walking around, and he come over and they threw me out. So the old men bloody love it though, as you can see. Packed out. Every time me and Buggerlugs have been there, it's quite comical because we were the only youngsters in there. And I'm not that young, I'm 400 years of age, but you know. And they often say, as one of the old timers goes upstairs, because the toilet's upstairs, a bit like Wetherspoons, but not quite as far. And they always shout out, are you off up then, Arthur? And you know, like they're going up to bed. It's quite comical. Yeah. There's wattle and daub walls up there, and it is well worth going in, but they are pretty strict on everything.
Is that you going up then?
But leave that picture on because on the right hand side of the picture, I think it's the right hand side, you see a long line of men. They're all in a line. Oh, is that right? Right hand side of the picture, Buggerlugs? A long line of men, and woe betide anybody sits there because that is reserved for them, and it's known as death row. And you're not allowed to sit there until somebody dies from that line. And when one of them dies, everybody moves up a seat. So it's quite comical. You can come back to me now, Buggerlug. She wanted to see my face before we finished talking about it, didn't she? So cheers, everybody. Yeah, she can't get
to see you as well.
I know, but I needed to talk about the picture longer than I thought.
I was going to go back to it.
You know what I'm taking. So,
I am a professional.
Oh, yes. So, yes. But before it was a pub, it was a brothel. Oh, none of you all know about it because it was many, 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 many years ago. That's what brothels used to look like. Looks like a right riot, doesn't it? Brothel. It was meant to be the biggest brothel in Chester, and many a man was in there overnight, and it was very, very popular. And the staff, after closing up at night when it's empty of customers, about 10 o'clock these nights, they've heard what sounds like women laughing and glasses clinking together. And it's haunted by the previous ladies of the night, the ghosts of the ladies of the night. Haunt that public house. Oh, yes. So, you single men, if you want to give it a try when you're there, try to see if you can stay later than everybody else and see what happens to you. So that was a brothel. So I think it's time to leave the rolls now. So, Buggerlugs, drive along, please. Thank you, driver. So my friends, we're on a different street now from the main one, and you can still see that it's still got the houses, which are the rows. Some of these are mock Tudor, by the way, because the original rows were not down in this area. And this is a brilliant story. Oh, I love this one. It's really put the willies right up me, if you know what I mean. Let's have a look out your window, everybody. Now, as you look up, these are all pretty much, there's shops at the bottom. I think there's a Costa down there and stuff. And these different floors upstairs are now flats to rent. Not too bad, actually. I mean, I was looking at them when I was doing the research. About £150 a week rent, which ain't too bad to live in that sort of wonderful area. 1-bedroom flats they are. And I'm talking about, first of all, that very top flat at the very top. That would be at the top, wouldn't it, Mum?
At the very top.
So, yes, look at the very top. So, come back to me. Now, he must have been doing all right for himself, because an actor, one of my profession, one of my fellow colleagues, rented, I didn't know him personally, I'm just saying he was an actor, rented the top flat. And he loved living there, like any actor would do with his cravat on, flicking it around his neck every night. And up and down the rows he was every night for a few scoops. So, hello, darling, how are you? Just like me, very, very, very lovely darling. And yeah, he loved being in his flat. Anyway, he moved in, and within a few weeks, when something catches your eye, when you go, what the hell? When you look around and there's nothing there. Well, he kept seeing something out the corner of his eye, round the floor area of his flat, and he thought, what the bloody hell? Anyway, every time he turned, it had gone. But it kept happening time and time again. Went out one night for a few scoops. He thought he'd had one too many, because when he got back, he looked down, and this thing that caught his eye, he actually saw it. Let's have a look what it might have looked like. Look at his graphics, absolutely. He saw an old man's head floating around his carpet, like you do. He thought, bloody hell. And he could see it was floating around the floor carpet area, an old guy's noggin. And he thought, what the bloody hell? He thought, when you slap yourself, I must have had too much to drink. I must have had too much tonight. Took himself off to bed. I think he thought, I must have dreamt it. Because you would. Well, you want to believe you dreamt it, wouldn't you? So he didn't tell anybody, like you wouldn't tell anybody, would you? Until a young couple moved downstairs into the flat below, and they said, would you like to come down for a dinner party so we can get to know each other? He said, would I? Because us actors are always struggling. Give generously tonight, tip jar, thank God. We're always struggling, us actors. Bertolt Brecht said about actors, we're like little birds. When there is food, we eat. When there is no food, we starve. And there's no bloody food at the moment in the acting profession, I can tell you that. So, and the musicians. Anyway, I digress. So the flat below said, would you like to come down for dinner? He said, yes. Because you fill your boots, you don't know when you're going to eat again. So he went down to the flat below with this young couple, and they got on like a house on fire. They had a few scoops. Let's have a drink of my wine, that's a good enough reason. Had a few wines, probably, a bit of Prosecco, being actors and stuff. And they had a lovely meal, and then as they got more and more merry throughout the night, they started talking about ghost stories. Isn't it funny, most people do start talking about ghost stories as the night goes on, doesn't it? And he said, well, I've got something to tell you here. And he said, I don't know if it's going to terrify you or not, but this actually happened to me upstairs in the flat. So this building, I think it's haunted. He said, I believe I saw this head. Let's have a look at that graphic again. I believe I saw a head floating around the floor of an old man. Now he expected the couple to go like, oh. They said, well, that makes sense because we have his body floating round our ceiling. Let's have a look at it. They had the body floating around their ceiling area, and he had the head in his flat. So as I said, they were done up, these flats, so there was obviously an old floor there, so that the full body was between two of the floors. Look at bugger lugs on her graphics. I tell you, you're getting a right whiz kid on this, aren't you? Look at her now. Hey, I have to give her a pay rise. You can have 3 croissants tomorrow for breakfast. Yes, so that's what happened. Isn't it a great story, that? So we're going to go to... Well, no, we're going to try a new thing now tonight. Now, this is good, especially if you're drinking. It's like a drinking game, so get ready. It's called... Are you going to sing the song? You might as well, mightn't you? See, you're good at singing the things. Sing it out loud.
No, we're not ready for that.
Oh, we're not ready for it?
We're not ready for it yet.
All right, then. Well, let's go
We have to get there first.
All right, let's go first. Come on, then. So, this is the new part of the show. Here we go. Emma's going to sing it. Come on, Buggerlugs.
500 pubs in 5 minutes.
You heard it here. 5 haunted pubs in 5 minutes. Let's get the dry ice on. Look out of your window, everybody. Look out of your window. When she's ready. Can you not find it?
Do you not want me to announce the first place?
Oh, sorry.
I'm dealing with amateurs.
Amateurs. Over to the driver of the bus.
Coach house in.
I forgot about that. Oh, she's taken over the bloody show, isn't she? Buggerlugs. Look out of your window, everybody. And as she announced, we're at the Coach House Inn. It was built, so it's one of the newer pubs in Chester. It looks quite old, but it was built in 1840, apparently. And it's got a fantastic story that happened in 1988. Come back to me, Buggerlugs. Now, this is a pretty chilling story, if I don't say so myself. In 1988, now most of these pubs to subsidise their income have like made their upstairs rooms into, hotels basically. One old man had been drinking all afternoon in the bar, and he got pretty friendly with the barmaid, and she was saying, "How are you?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm very well, thank you." Anyway, it got to about 7 or 8 o'clock, and he said, "Listen, I don't really fancy going home tonight. Is there any room upstairs by any chance?" She goes, "Yeah, we've got a vacancy." So Phil, put your name in this book like you do, and took his money. He said, "Thank you very much." He said, I said, "I live in Liverpool and I don't really want to go back home because my wife died recently and the house is so lonely without her, you know." And she felt really sorry for him. He said, "But I'm not going to drink anymore now." He said, "I'm going to go for a walk along the walls in Chester before bedtime." So she said, "Oh, good, go and enjoy yourself." So he went off, and that was the last she saw of him. It got to like last orders at 11 o'clock and he still hadn't come back, so she was getting quite concerned. So she contacted the local police in Chester. He said he was going for a walk on the walls. Now, some of the walls are a bit, well, there's drops, isn't there, at either side of them. You know, they could be a bit precarious. So they were worried that he might have fallen from one of the walls. So the police, maybe one police officer went for a walk around the walls, looking everywhere, couldn't find any old man that might have fallen. So he came back to her and said, "I can't find anybody." He said, "Listen, we've got his address and his name. It's in the book. Tomorrow I'll contact the police in Liverpool and we'll send somebody around to his house to make sure." Maybe he just decided he was going to go home. The next day, the police went round to the address he'd given in the book. And there's no record of his name, funny enough, so let's call him Mr. Smith. Anyway, they knocked on the door and said, this young couple answered the door and said, "Is Mr. Smith in?" They went, "No, there's nobody here by that name." So we've been living here quite a few years. Maybe someone that used to live here. And then the next door neighbour said, "Mr. Smith used to live there, but he died 7 years ago." And what had happened is, he said his wife had died 8 years ago, and he lived on his own for about a year, so upset with his wife dying, and he died of a broken heart. So he died 7 years ago. So that ghost actually it checked in to the Coach House Inn. I've only got 5 minutes for these stories, haven't I? Yeah. I'm babbling on like a good in here, aren't I? I'll have to be quick on next one. So, they believe a ghost checked in to the Coach House Inn. And I hope he is together with his wife.
The book, haven't they?
Yeah, the book that he checked in and the actual entry, they've got it behind the bar apparently. They've kept it since that day. So, let's move on to the next pub. What is it, Buggerlugs?
Pied Bull.
Hey, we're at the Pied Bull. The Pied Bull, everybody. Raise your glasses. Oh, I have to be quicker on this. Well, this one's quite a short story, actually, so that's good. Get some of the time back for our 5 pubs in 5 minutes. Excellent. So, yeah, look out your window, everybody. Have we looked out the window yet? No, let's look out the window, Buggerlugs. There you go. It's a beautiful pub. We've been in this pub, haven't we, Buggerlugs?
Yep.
We haven't been in most of these pubs because we never found them. They're a bit off the beaten track, some of them. So this is called the Pied Bull, also known as the Bull Mansion. And it's the oldest pub in Chester, and it's bloody old. Built in 1155. Yeah, 1155. That's old, isn't it? And it's haunted by various ghosts, but the one that seems to manifest the most is an old landlord, and he was called John Davies. And apparently he was walking down the old staircase inside, which is still there to this very day, He had a knife in his hand. You know when your parents tell you never run or anything with a knife or scissors in your hand? Well, he walked down the stairs with a knife in his hand, obviously facing him, fell down the stairs, ended up fatally stabbing himself in the chest. And his ghost has been seen walking up and down them stairs with a dagger in his hand and a bloodied shirt. And he's supposed to be the landlord of John Davis. Next pub, Buggerlugs!
Old King's Head.
We're at the old King's Head, everybody. Raise your glasses. Oh, this is going to hit me hard. This is, all these drinks in one go. It's like a drinking game, isn't it?
I'm not hitting hard.
Let's look out of the window, everybody, at the old King's Head.
Oh, where
Yeah,
are we?
next
This
year you'll
one.
find it.
Yeah,
There you are.
I
There's the
got
young
it.
King's Head. Now, this is indeed a public house, quite old. In the 1930s, they decided let's make the most and make the upstairs room into hotel rooms. They renovated a few of the rooms. One of the rooms, when they were digging up the floorboards, obviously to make them better and even them out, they found an old sword which they believe could go back to Roman times, and it's now hanging up behind the bar. But in what year was it? Let's have a look. In 1982, a young woman was staying there. She booked into the room where they found the sword under the floorboards. Oh, excuse me, wine, very ghastly these days. She checked into the room where the sword had been discovered. She got in bed, went to sleep. Oh, yeah, sorry, she locked the door, got in bed, felt safe and comfortable, fell asleep, and at 2 a.m. in the morning, she woke up feeling freezing cold. But it was summertime. She was freezing, and it might have looked like this. And as her eyes accustomed to the darkness, she saw standing next to the side of her bed the ghost of a man. Well, she didn't know it was a ghost. It was a man dressed completely in black from head to foot. She could see his eyes staring at her, and she was firstly afraid. She thought, somebody's broken into my bedroom. And she was just about to scream out when this overwhelming calmness came over her. And she described it as a feeling that she was never been so relaxed in her entire life. This ghost was sort of hypnotising her. What scares me the most from this is, well, there's two things that scare me. One, he stood there for 15 minutes staring at her before he disappeared in front of her very eyes. And the second thing was, she so loved the experience that she booked him for a second night. And she was waiting at 2 o'clock, and he's never appeared since. Well, not to her anyway, but it's still a very haunted place. Next pub, 5 in 5 minutes. Come on, Buggerlugs. When we get there.
Bear and Billet.
You can certainly tell that Buggerlugs is from Derbyshire, can't you, with that kind of accent. Bear and Billet. Isn't that right, Buggerlugs? Oh, she's giving me the death stare. So we're at the Bear and Billet.
Thin ice, pal.
What did you say? What did you
Thin
say?
ice.
Bear and Billet.
Bear and Billet.
Bear and Billet. That's the one. It's different than Lancashire. Bear and Billet. We're making a Bear and Billet. Let's have a look at you. Oh, raise a glass, everybody. Oh, I forgot about that bit. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, cheers. Oh, yes, here we go. Lovely. Let's have a look out your window. This is the Bear and Billet. And the Bear and Billet, very short story here, so we'll catch up a bit of time here. It's got a poltergeist, which is described as a noisy ghost, basically. A poltergeist. And apparently there's a couple of stories like this tonight. There was a maid that did something wrong, and she was locked into a room upstairs until she starved to death. And they did this quite often. There's another story later on tonight about that kind of thing. And if you've been on my Stockport Ghost Walk, somebody was bricked up in the old Queen's Head upstairs. But anyway, she was bricked up in a room, this maid, and ever since then she's been haunting the staircase inside. They call it the haunted staircase, and it looks like this. It's very much like what Sarah did when she only appeared mainly to men, but this ghost of this maid only appears to men on the haunted staircase, and she's called the poltergeist maid of the Bear and Billet. So let's go to our last pub in 5 minutes. Come on, everybody. What is it, Buggerlugs?
Georgian Dragon.
Wonderful, the Georgian Dragon. Raise your glasses, everybody. We're doing all right here, aren't we? Raise your glasses. This is the new drinking game I've invented. And let's look out your window, everybody. So this is the Georgian Dragon. Now, can you see above the door there, just above your lamp out your window? You can see there's a something's sticking out. It's an actual replica of a dragon, and I've made it a bit better for you, but this is what it looks like basically. I put a bit of flames and a bit of smoke, but they've got that. Isn't it wonderful? That wonderful. So yes, this is the Georgian dragon, and it's not just haunted by one ghost. It's haunted by a Roman army, apparently. When the Romans were in Chester, if a Roman died, they didn't used to bury them within the walls. They buried them outside the walls. It was a tradition for some reason. And the pub, the Georgian Dragon, was built on the biggest burial ground for the Romans when they died, the soldiers. And for many, many years, regulars that have been drinking upstairs at a certain time of day have heard from underneath their feet, from coming up from the cellar, like a marching army. Let's have a listen to that. A marching army. And people that have been down in the cellar, it's even louder down there. You can hear footsteps marching, horns blowing, men sort of hey, 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 as they go through the middle of the room. Apparently they found out that was built, the pub also on the burial ground, but the old Roman road goes right through the cellar. And that is what is... nobody's actually seen these ghosts, but just heard the marching ghosts. Now, if you think that sounds a bit familiar, that story, you probably will, because if you've been watching, there's been 1,000 different live versions from from York. Every single day there's something from York, isn't there? Not bitter. What I've got. But in York, there's a famous story about the treasurer's house, where many years ago, some builders were working in the cellar, and they heard a marching, and a horse, and a Roman on horseback, and Roman marching soldiers came through one wall, went right across the room, and went through the other wall. And when the builders looked down, there's two builders saw it, so it's quite strange for ghosts to appear to two witnesses. The horses and the men, their legs finished at the knees. And when they dug down, they found the old Roman road with exactly the height difference between the legs. And that's where they got the first idea about the stone tape theory, where walls may be recording things that happen and playing it back like a video recording. So it's a pretty similar story in Chester in the Georgian Dragon. So that's your 5 pubs in 5 minutes. Was it 5 minutes? Was it a bit longer than that?
Probably longer.
There, you know. I like to waffle.
Too much to do.
I like to waffle a little bit. So there's an area now where the Romans would have been on the wall, where they would watch out for armies coming in and dodgy folk knocking about like the Welsh, apparently. So they would be on these walls. We're going to go up, because we can drive anywhere on this bus, we're going to have a little drive along the wall, and we're going to end up where they used to entertain themselves back in the day, the Theatre of Death. Take it away, Buggerlugs.
Hold on tight.
Whose idea was it to drive up steps and down steps? That was bloody hard on the old back, weren't it, Buggerlugs?
Certainly was.
You thought you could do it though, didn't you? They're my tips to the driver. If she, don't worry, it's 50-50 split with Buggerlugs. Oh, try. She's very expensive to keep, I can tell you.
I am not.
No, she's not really. She's not. Just give her a bit of food, water her, feed her, love her. That's all she requires. Isn't that right, Monkey?
I'm like a cat.
She's like a cat, she is. So, yes, We're now outside the Roman amphitheatre. Let's have a look outside your window, everybody. And it's the ruins of an amphitheatre. Well, actually, there's only half an amphitheatre there because they built buildings on top of it, so they can't excavate the rest of it. But amazingly, it is still the largest amphitheatre in the UK. Even at that half, and it would have looked like this. It would have looked very much like the Colosseum in Rome. That's exactly what it would have looked out like. So just imagine that there in the middle of Chester. And if you do go to Chester like we do, I cannot recommend enough the Travelodge because it overlooks the amphitheatre.
It's great seeing all school kids.
And the best thing about it is that when you're there staying there, and I think all the rooms overlook, I pretty much believe, I think they do, all the rooms overlook the amphitheatre, and all day long there's school parties coming in, dressed as, there's Roman soldiers, well, obviously like tour guides, that take kids around all day long, all the school kids, teaching them how to fight, so it's brilliant.
How to stay in formation.
You can sit there just watching out your window, it's wonderful, and it's dead near the centre and everything. Travelodge, because I know some of you watched the Edinburgh one that we did, and you booked to Edinburgh, so I hope you enjoyed that. This mate, you want to go to Chester next, won't it? But you know, I know times are strange at the moment. Anyway, so there was no bake-off in them days to entertain yourself. You had to make your own entertainment, and it was legs off, or head off, or arms off in them days. It was all about blood sports, and that's the main spot for it, for blood sports. Now, there were some things that weren't too bad, like, well, it was terrible if you were an animal. There was cockfighting took place there, and bird baiting and stuff like that. But the main attraction, like in all the Colosseums all over the world, was the gladiators. I've got a great story for you next. Gladiators. Now, I'm not talking about Jet. I haven't told this to Buggerlugs, but you know. Now, you know, I'm a certain age, and a lot of you are the certain age, and some of you fellas out there, did you used to watch Gladiators? Who remembers Jet? Yeah. We all had a crush on Jet, didn't we? Oh, we did.
I had a thing for Wolf.
Wolf? Well, yeah, I think I had a Jet. I did have a Jet poster on my wall, I did. I had a Jet poster on my wall. You know, sure, yeah, well, you know. Anyway, the point is, I did a private ghost walk a few years ago for a lot of personal trainers. And we're in lot 91, which if you remember from the last performance is a haunted lockkeeper's cottage. But I was in there having a drink with the private booking after the performance. And this he was an handsome bastard, I must admit, he was an handsome bastard. He said, thanks for tonight, I think it's been brilliant. He said, I'm a personal trainer. I said, and these are all personal. You're having like a get to know you, a corporate event for other personal trainers. Yeah, and he said, my girlfriend would love this. He said, do you think you could do a private booking for her? I said, yeah, of course you can. He said, you might even know her. I said, why? He says, her name's Diane Udale. And I know that name. He said, but you probably know her as Jet. Jet was his girlfriend. I said, Jet's your bloody girlfriend? He goes, yeah, we've been going out for a few years. He said, do you think would you do a private booking? I said, bloody hell, would I? No, I'm not going over it. I'm still feeling faint now. I said, yeah, anytime you want. I thought, he's going to be lying to me, so I googled him, and it's him with his arm, you know, around her at different events and stuff. She actually was the agony aunt on some of the Celebrity Big Brothers, if you remember. She's exactly the same age as me, but she seemed like a lot more mature when I was a kid. But you know what I mean. But yes, so I'm still waiting for Jet to come on my performance. So yes, Gladiators, the best entertainment you could have in the day. Now, these were the pop stars and rock stars and the movie stars of the day. They had groupies everywhere. Women used to follow these gladiators around because they were muscular and manly, just like me. Yes, I know. And they didn't care whether they lived or died. They had a death wish. Women liked the bad boys, as you know. And there was two types of gladiators. There was gladiators. They were usually slaves which had come out of service and decided to train as gladiators. To become professional gladiators. They went to a gladiator school, how to use different weapons, and even how to die with dignity. And they'd been there for a year training to be a gladiator. And then the other kind of gladiators were the convicts of the day, which were made to be gladiators. They were sort of the cannon fodder for the other gladiators. So imagine this. those gladiators would go into a ring. You can put that next picture on, I think. Yes. So they'd be in the ring, the arena, sorry. They'd walk out, 2 gladiators. Quite disturbing to think that within a few minutes only one of you is going to be walking back out again because one of you is going to die. So you've got a 50-50 chance of surviving. And then a fight would take place, different weapons, but let's just say it's swords and shields like it is on that picture. And then as soon as one of the gladiators gets badly injured on the floor, it's called the... what is it called now? It's called the head. The head of the arena. He decides whether the gladiator that's badly injured lives or dies. You've all seen this before. Come back to me, Buggerlogs. You've all seen it before. So basically, the injured gladiator on the floor, the audience would decide whether he put up a good fight, right? And if he put up a good fight, they'd go, hey, they'd cheer. And then the head of the arena would go, thumbs up. And they both survive to fight another day, providing he survives his wounds, but they don't put him down. But if the audience believe he fought like a coward, then they boo, thumbs down, and the other gladiator will dispatch him by slicing, chopping heads off, all sorts of things would go on, but he'd see off, he'd massacre the other gladiator. Then the audience and all the groupies go, hey! Then he'd walk out into the centre of the arena and they would pay him. And it was tradition that all the audience had to see how much the gladiator got paid for the fight and they'd cheer him off. So then you've got this dead body in the arena. So what happened then? I couldn't believe this when I did my research. Put the photograph on. Selected people from the audience were waiting to run on into the arena. They would run up to the bleeding body and start sucking the blood from the wounds. Just like a vampire, lapping the blood up. I thought, what the hell? And they were told to do this by physicians of the day who told people with epilepsy that drinking blood from the fresh corpse of a gladiator cured epilepsy. If it wasn't just a slice and the gladiator had been cut open or disemboweled with his innards hanging out, they would cut his liver out. And they would take pieces of the liver home with them and they were supposed to eat 10 pieces of it over 10 days and that would also cure them of epilepsy. Who could make this stuff up? And then other people would run out with little vials, fill it up with gladiator blood and they would sell that as liquid Viagra for men because gladiators are such butch characters they believed it would pass on if you drank their blood. But often that blood that was sold to them was just from chickens and cows and stuff like that. So they were conned. Right, good lad. Might start producing that. Sell it on eBay. It's an income, innit, bugger lugs? It's an income. Gladiator blood for today's men. So, so that body's on the floor. Splattered, bits hanging out. And then what happens? Well, 2 costume characters. 2 slaves in costumes came out. One was dressed as a character called, I'll have to read this, called Charum. C-H-A-R-U-M. Charum. Sorry, start again. Charum. Cha and run. Charun. And he was the death demon. So he come onto the body dressed up with like a full mask on and stuff. And he had a hammer in his hand. And he hit the dead gladiator on the head with his hammer. Right up noggin. And then another one popped out. Another bloody guy. And he was called Hermes. We've all heard of Hermes, haven't we, everybody? Haven't we? And Hermes will come out and he's the guider of the souls, apparently. Guider of the souls. And he comes out with a hot iron rod, heated up in a hot fire so it's like glowing red, and poke it into the chest of the gladiator. It's all good fun for these gladiators, isn't it? And then, obviously, he leaves your parcel at a neighbour's house that you've never ever met. Have you been there? I left it at number 42. I don't know them. Oh, 42 is the mental people, and the ones that have bloody... Oh, no, won't talk about it. Anyway, so Hermes and the other one, Chadon, would then get hold of one leg each of the gladiator and drag them out through a special gate. And the gate was called Gate Labitina. Gate Labitina. And Labitina was the god of burial. Sorry, the goddess of burial. So they dragged this gladiator out, put him on a slab. At that point, these two costume characters would take off all the armour, so he's Billy Bollock naked, and then they would take out a knife and slit the dead gladiator's throat. Now, you think, why would you bother killing a gladiator twice? Well, apparently there was some crafty... Remember, some of these gladiators were criminals, and they sussed out that, you know, you could make a wound look worse than it actually was. So you could pretend you'd had your throat slit by smearing the blood across and lying there and pretending you were dead. So you've been hit with a hammer, you've had a hot poker stuffed into you, you've had people sucking on your blood, but you might still be alive, faking your own death. And they've been taken back and they've got up and run off and escaped. So to make sure that the gladiator was dead, they get a knife and slit across the throat. If it bled out, it meant that the gladiator was faking his own death. He was still alive and he would be dead from then. And if it didn't splurt out, it meant that they were already dead. It was all good news. Then these two costume characters had to judge by the reaction of the audience with the booing and cheering whether this dead gladiator should have a proper burial or be flung into the River Dee. So if he didn't put up a good fight, fling him in the River Dee. If he did put up a good fight, he was cremated and his ashes gave to relatives and friends to bury properly. So that's the life of a gladiator. It's bloody bad, isn't it? Now you'd think that area of Chester would be haunted, would be chock full of ghosts, but it's not. It's only haunted by one. Let's have a look at him. And it's a Roman, it's just a Roman soldier who haunts that area. Apparently he fell in love with a local girl, and when they found out he had fallen in love with her, the locals murdered him because they weren't supposed to fraternise with, you know, the locals. Funny enough, this ghost, it's been seen since the 1700s. Leave it on, Bugger Lugs. And in the 1700s, it was very clear, this ghost. You could see every detail about him. And as the years have gone on, and like recent accounts, it's almost become like a shadow of the character. So he's starting to fade away slowly over the years. You can come back to me, Bugger Lugsy, on it. So yeah, if it is about storm tape theory where things are recorded and playing back, it seems to be that the recording is getting paler and paler throughout the years. So let's go to our next location, Bugger Lugs, where there's two ghosts. Let's go. Woo! Oh, that was a bit, that smoke's a bit, it's burning my eyes.
I don't know why you always
I'll
face.
try to get some atmosphere. I think I've knocked the camera, look. Hang on a second, everybody. That's better. So, are we alright there, Bugger Lugs? Does it look okay on camera?
Yeah.
Now then, we're now inside the ruins of St Mary's Church. Now just imagine, this church was a lot bigger than it is now, St Mary's. And they decided that they didn't need all that size of church, so they made it smaller and they left parts of it to go derelict over the years. And then the cathedral's opened, so they were happy it was a smaller church. Now, let me tell you about a really weird thing that's inside the ruins. I can't remember what what we're looking at next. What is it? What's that? I don't know what that is. Tell me.
The nun.
Oh, yes. Well, no, it's about there, but I just didn't know what part. Now, I told you before about a poltergeist of the maid that was locked into a room. Well, just near York Racecourse. Start again. just near Chester Racecourse is a nunnery. And there was a nun that did something so terrible, and it's not documented what she actually did, so God knows what it was, but they bricked her up inside a room. Let's have a look what that might have looked like. I quite think this is quite spooky with that praying on it. I know I can't hear it, but you can hear it out there, can't you, on the bus? But yes, this nun was bricked up in a room to starve to death. And they also told her before she died that you will not be buried in consecrated ground. Your coffin will be kept suspended above the ground so you can look on earth for all eternity as penance. So God knows what she actually did. I don't know what she did, but it must have been something pretty bad. Maybe she'd had relations with a man. I don't know what had happened. And they were true to the word. So in the church, when it was there, the actual church, they took the coffin. Well, no, sorry, I digress actually. They didn't actually have a wooden coffin. They carved a coffin out of stone. Them stone coffins. You've seen them before, I think, where they actually carved the shape of the person inside. They put them in, and then they put a stone lid over the top. They put them in a stone coffin, and they raised it up and sort of put it into a corner of the church inside. So she was inside this stone coffin looking down. Now that's part of the area which is now the ruins, and this is what it looks like. That stone coffin opened is built, well, it's there inside the actual, as you can see, above the arch, inside the ruins of St Mary's Church. Inside it says the words dust to dust. And they put that in it because when they actually discovered, or well, when they were making that part derelict, they decided to open the coffin, and her skeleton fell out, and it shattered into dust on the floor, and that's why they painted dust to dust. And ever since that day, the ghost of the Blue Nun has been haunting the area of the ruins. Here we all remember Blue Nun, don't we? Horrible wine. The Blue Nun has been seen wandering around with her emaciated face. She was meant to be so thin because of the way that she was, bricked up in that room, and she was starved to death. So the Blue Nun, the Blue Nun haunts the ruins. Oh yes. So it's fantastic, isn't that? Coffin on the wall. It's one of the most seen. I've never seen it. Me and Buggerlugs have walked around there after midnight. We're walking around the ruins and we never spotted it. But it's up in there in one of the walls. And there's another ghost that haunts that area. Again, a religious ghost. And it's a monk. Let's have a look what he might look like. And many people have seen him. And they believe he's a real monk because you can hear him praying. You can see he looks solid, and it's only when he disappears people go, oh my God, I think I've just seen a ghost. And he has a habit. He has a habit of showing himself to tourists. You like that? I'm here all week, thank you. He has a habit of showing himself to tourists, and one of them tourists believes she captured him on a photograph. Let's have a look at that photograph. She circled it so it makes it easier for us, but she believes that's the shape. She said there was nobody walking through that area, and that's the shape of a monk, and she believes he's got his arms crossed over his chest as he's walking along. I'm not sure, but it's there on the internet to be looked at, but she believes she captured the ghost of the monk. Ooh. So we've got a ghost monk and a ghost nun who knock around St Mary's, so ideal. Now the monk also walks behind the ruins down to the River Dee. Hey, have we any Rod Stewart fans? We're about to go sailing. Come on. We are sailing. Come on, Buggerlugs. Home again. Are you not singing?
No. She's
not singing. Now, Buggerlugs has been hard at work on this virtual bus, and yes, we can set sail. So over to Buggerlugs.
Time to set sail, everyone.
on the water. Oh, yes. You did a good job with that, Buggerlugs. Oh, yes. We can actually sail now. World is our lobster now. We can go anywhere and sail anywhere. Oh, yes. So, yes, have a look outside your window, everybody. We're on the water, as you can see. And, oh, no, Buggerlugs, no. Get it back. Get it back.
Too late.
No, oh, you didn't see that.
Window.
You didn't see that.
That was looking out the window. It's the only one out the window.
I knew there was something I had to do today on the graphics. You didn't see that, everybody. Give generously. So, yes, we're now sailing. That's why I'm rocking gently from side to side. We're now on the River Dee. You would think the River Dee is actually would be safe for ghosts, wouldn't you? Although the gladiators were dumped in the River Dee. But it is haunted. And it's haunted because of some hangings that took place there. Now then, the last hangings in Chester took place in 1809. There's a castle in Chester, and these three men were convicted and given the death sentence. They've been in the dungeon in Chester Castle, and then they were taken out early one morning, put on a cart, and taken to an area of Chester called... Now listen, I'm from Lancashire, I can't pronounce my H's, so bear with me. Hangman's Hill. Okay? Hangman's Hill in an area called Bolton. And I believe David that's out there tonight, you live in Bolton, don't you? Is that right? Well, let me know after. So, yes, there's an area there, high up on an hillside called Hangman's Hill. And these three men were taken to gallows there. So they were taken up onto the gallows. They were chained up in manacles so they couldn't escape. Well, they couldn't move their arms anyway. Anyway, one of the men decided, bugger this, I don't fancy being hung. I'm going to try to escape. So he quickly rolled off the Hangman's Hill, rolled down, managed to run along, jumped into the River Dee, trying to swim away. Forgetting his hands were manacled together, couldn't swim with them manacles on, and slowly, ended up drowning under the water. The hangman actually took chase. They couldn't find him in the River Dee for 20 minutes, and then they found him and dragged his drowned body out, still took him back up with the other two, and hung him, all three of them. Even though he's dead, they hung him again. And ever since that day, he's been seen, his hand has been seen by many people walking past the River Dee. They see his hand coming out of the water. They see his hand coming out of the water, trying to grab at them, trying to grab at anything which will help him to get out of the water. And we spoke this slightly, but people in boats. Buggerlugs hasn't done it. Buggerlugs hasn't done it properly. Okay, Buggerlugs. And people in boats have seen this hand coming up. Come on now, Buggerlugs, don't miss the cue now. And they've seen this hand coming up out of the water and tapping on the window like it is tonight in our virtual ghost bus. Tapping, going, let me in, let me in, let me in. I'm not dead yet. So it's haunted by the ghost of a man called Price, who escaped the hangman's noose. Well, he didn't escape it really. He was still hung, even dead. So, my friends, it's time to get the Valkyrie wings out now. We can float on water and we can fly through the air. So over to Buggerlugs, let's take flight.
Buckle up, we're flying tonight.
Let's land in the zoo. Buggerlugs, let's land in the zoo, everybody. Let's land in the zoo. Oh, watch the chimpanzee. Watch. Oh, no.
Oh, hang on. Everyone, we've just had to make a crash landing. Please, can you just make your way off the bus?
Oh no! No! No, we've crashed. We've been brought down. It's like King Kong, the film, isn't it? We've been brought down by a chimpanzee.
Is everyone alright?
Is everybody okay? Yeah. Well, it looks like
everyone
that's
accounted for.
Yeah, it looks like we can't continue on the bus tonight, so we're going to have to go on foot now. So let's have a little walk around the zoo, shall we? Have you been to Chester Zoo, everybody? Well, listen, you're going like, what the bloody hell is Flecky on about? What's spooky about the zoo? We had one of the scariest experiences of our lives in Chester Zoo. I had several scary experiences. I'll tell you about that in a second. But there is, I mean, I don't know about you, but I love bats. You know, vampire bats. I just love bats. If I see them outside, I'm mesmerised by them. And they have like a bat world there, right? It's the weirdest thing we have ever been inside. I've heard people say that bats have a really weird smell. And they do. It's not a horrible smell, it's just a weird smell. So, my friends, let's all go for a walk inside the bat house. Follow me, everybody, follow me. Oh, I tell you now, did you enjoy walking through there? It was the weirdest experience. What was it like, Buggerlugs?
Amazing.
It wasn't amazing at all. I put that last bit on from the film Dusk Till Dawn. I love that film. But you know when all them bats are flying round him? I kid you not, I was walking behind Buggerlugs and she walked through an area with like a little tunnel which was slightly lit and they were swirling around her, coming in within millimetres, weren't they, Buggerlugs? And it was... I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I thought, oh my God.
Not a single one hit me there.
Not a single one touched her, but it was horrific to watch. They were flying around her, thousands of them. And I had to walk behind her through the same bloody tunnel. And I was shitting myself because...
You went backwards.
I thought, I can't go forwards. They're going to get me. They're going to rip my eyes out. Get stuck in my tash. So I walked backwards through them. And as I was looking, they were flying past my eyes. Oh, I tell you. It was only slightly less terrifying than the butterfly house. Buggerlugs enjoyed the butterfly house.
Oh, the massive
but you know,
blue one's amazing.
I know, but some butterflies are like big moths, right? And you had to walk through them and they were landing on your head. Oh, there was a big bloody brown one on the back of her noggin. Oh, but listen, we're coming to the end now. I've just got to take you to one different area inside the zoo. Now, Buggerlugs has watched the series. What's it called again?
Secret Life of the Zoo.
Secret Life of the Zoo. I think it's Channel 4. It's all about Chester Zoo, right? Well, I'm going to show you the real Secret Life of the Zoo. I've not got over this since. Now, some of you might have a weak stomach out there. Some of you might be eating, right? And I warn you now, this is supposed to be 18 plus, so I warn you now, this is quite horrible, right? We're going to go back to our favourite, we haven't used this for a while, so if I don't know if you've got weak stomachs, but piss and poo alert. Let's have a look at them new graphics I made there for you. A steaming turd. Oh, here we go. And this, come back to me, Buggerlugs. This is like a piss and poo alert. And it really is a piss and poo alert.
You have been warned.
You have been warned. I'm gonna tell you about it first though. Me and Bugger, I love a chimpanzee. Now listen, I'm not sure whether zoos are a good thing or a bad thing, but Chester Zoo say that they're saving all these species which will die out in the wild. So I'm undecided whether zoos are a bad thing or a good thing. I mean, they're trying to make them worthy. But I've always loved a monkey. I think chimpanzees aren't monkeys, are they? They're apes, aren't they? Something like that. Anyway, or is it gorillas or apes? I don't know. There's chimpanzees and monkeys, but I've always been fascinated. Ever since one tried to... Have I told that story before? Oh, I must tell you this story. I was taken as a child to Southport Zoo. There used to be one next to the Pleasure Beach in Southport. And there was a chimpanzee in a cage. And I was mesmerised by it. I've always loved chimps. And I was looking at it, and it was looking at me like this. And we were staring each other out like this. I don't know where the bloody camera is. Is it that side? I'm looking at the camera there.
Yeah.
It was looking at me like this. And I was looking at it like that. And we were both mesmerised. And I remember my mum was stood next to me, and everybody started to move backwards. And I was just like that, with my mouth open. And this chimpanzee shat in its hand, looked at me like that, and wazzed it right at me. I never moved, so I was mesmerised. And it hit the wall just above my head and slid down. Everybody else was running off screaming. I don't even think there's a YouTube video where there's a woman in a wheelchair, I think, isn't she? They took this nana to look at the chimps, and it froze it and it stuck to the end of her nose. Well, listen, chimpanzees are dirty, but I'm mesmerised by them. I think because believe me, we are 98% same DNA as chimpanzees. Buggerlugs is 99, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, thank you. But
You're the one with chimp feet.
I can peel a banana with my feet. But yeah, I said we've got to go and look at the chimpanzees, and you go inside a little enclosure. It's like they've got like a glass dome that they live in, and a massive area outside to wander around. Yeah. I've never seen anything like it. Me and Buggerlugs went in there, and all the chimps were there, and they were all looking at us like that. And then they started. And they all went up high into the platform, so they made it like trees with canopies inside. And I'm kidding you not, they started pooing in their hands. But they were collecting like a banana. So just imagine a banana sliding out of the bum slowly. I must admit, they say that our stools are supposed to be quite solid. If they're wet and sloppy, we're not eating right. So they're obviously on a good diet, because they were coming out like a firm, not like a Mr. Whippy. Just imagine a chocolate Mr. Whippy. It weren't like that. They were like a solid, like a, I can't describe it, like a solid lump.
It was like a peeled mango.
Well, it were brown.
It was kind of orangey.
Well, anyway, it was, they held their hands underneath their bums, and they'd get hold of it, and they'd hold it like a banana, and then stick it in their mouth and eat the full lot. And as it went in that end, they'd do another one out of the other end, grabbing it, and apparently this is what chimpanzees do. And they get extra nutrition and roughage from their own poo. I know some humans drink their own wee and stuff, because it's meant to be good for you. So, my friends, they don't tell you about this on the Chester Zoo programme and they don't put it on the website. But if you go and watch them, they are shit-eating chimps. I'm going to form a band called Shit-Eating Chimps. But here's a video for you to watch. This will give you a piss and poo alert. Over to them.
I see.
Oh no, it's not good. Oh.
I personally have not got over my experience inside the chimpanzee house. So, my friends, that brings us to the end of the Chester Virtual Ghost Bus. Put the end up. That's the one, my friends. Oh, it's been wonderful. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it might give you an inspiration to go and visit Chester if you haven't. David, you're a lucky man for living there. And, Buggerlugs is putting up all the social media. I would really love it, apart from if you've enjoyed tonight, please give a virtual tip. And if you're watching it on repeat on YouTube, or you want to watch it again on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free, and it really shows me the love. I've had a wonderful time. I don't think we've got time for any Q&As really tonight, because I said an hour and a half, and I know people have got things to do. But if you have enjoyed it, please give generously to the tip jar. I don't think we're going to do another one now until Halloween. I'm going to spend all my time creating something absolutely magnificent for you. So, with that in mind, if you want to tip us, remember what we're on in 2 weeks' time, so give generously. But I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's not been too gory, that ending. I've really loved your company. And from me and Buggerlugs, say goodbye to people, Buggerlugs.
Goodbye to people, Buggerlugs.
And let's sing our song. It's Flecky, it's Friday, it's Flecky Bennett Friday, it's Flecky, it's Friday, it's Flecky's Fright Night. Ooh!
It's Flecky, it's Friday, it's Flecky Bennett Friday, it's Flecky, it's Friday, it's Flecky's Fright Night.